What's up, everyone? Jay here from Tap and Turn Gaming, coming at you today with another EDH deck tech request from one of our viewers. Today's deck tech, as you can see, is for Iroas, God of Victory. The viewer slash subscriber that requested this build was X Stormblood X. He wanted to see our take on an Iroas, God of Victory deck with a heavy focus on tokens. So that's what we whipped up here. So Stormblood, I hope you enjoy the video, and everybody else watching, I hope you enjoy it as well. So let's get right on into it here and take a look at our general, which is Iroas, God of Victory. He's a 4-cost Boros-colored god. He's a 7/4 body. He's indestructible, just like all the other gods. As long as your devotion to red and white is less than 7, he's not a creature. Creatures you control can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures, so it essentially gives all of your creatures menace. With the Magic Origins, they basically gave that ability a keyword, so he essentially gives all your creatures menace. And prevent all damage that would be dealt to attacking creatures you control. Excuse me. So he's pretty cool. We definitely went with a very heavy token theme, as Stormblood, kind of wanted to see. So this deck is very aggressive, and Iroas, just with the abilities that he grants your creatures, you want to be aggressive if you're playing this guy as your general. So that's more or less what Iroas does. He's pretty nice. First up, we'll take a look at the land base for this deck. We have an Ancient Amphitheater, a Battlefield Forge, Boros Garrison, Boros Guildgate, Clifftop Retreat, a Mary of the Sky Ruin for that res, Flamekin Village to have the ability to give a creature haste until end of turn, Keldoran Outpost to produce soldier tokens, 12 mountains, 12 plains, a Sacred Foundry, Slayer Stronghold to give a guy +2/+0 vigilance and haste until end of turn. Sunhome Fortress of the Legion to give guys double strike. Temple of Triumph for the Scry. Valakut the Molten Pinnacle for the lightning bolts if we get, I believe it's 5 other mountains. Every time we play a mountain after that, we get the lightning bolt something. And a Windscarred Crag. So, pretty basic land base. We've got the usual includes like the shock land and the check lands and, things of that nature. So, nothing too crazy, but, we get some really, cool stuff like the, Emeria and Keldoran Outpost to produce tokens and the Slayer Stronghold. So, we get stuff to get us our colors and, little utility lands as well. Next up, we'll take a look at the enchantments that we run. We run an Angelic Chorus, so whenever a creature comes in to play under our control, we gain life equal to its toughness. Assemble the Legion will literally do just that. It will assemble you a legion of 1/1 red and white soldiers with haste. So at the beginning of your upkeep, you put a muster counter on this, then you put that many 1/1 red and white soldier creature tokens with haste onto the board. So on your first upkeep, after you play this, you get 1 counter and then 1 guy. Your next upkeep, 2 counters, 2 guys, 3 counters, 3 guys. And you literally assemble the Legion. Next is Cathar's Crusade. Just because this card is bonkers with any type of token generating theme. If you don't enjoy doing math while you're playing Magic, you might want to, find another card to play, but this card just is so bonkers. It's so good, but, it does kind of slow the game down a little bit where you have to calculate, okay, well, I just had this many guys come in, so I need to put this many +1/+1 counters on all my creatures, and it's kind of hard to keep track of sometimes if you have a really big board state, but the card's too good not to include in the deck. We have Dictate of the Twin Gods to double all damage that would be dealt to permanents and players. So if we go to like Alpha, our opponent, we can flash this in if we know that it's going to cause lethal. So the flash on it's very nice. It can be tricky with it. Field of Souls, whenever one of our non-token creatures dies, we get a 1/1 white flying spirit to replace it. Goblin Bombardment lets us sack a guy to deal 1 damage to target creature or player. Grasp of Fate lets us exile a non-land permanent for each other player in the game. So, if we're playing a 4-player game and we have 3 opponents, we can exile 1 thing from each opponent's board with this. So it's essentially like a all-encompassing Oblivion Ring. Mobilization gives soldiers vigilance, and then we can pay 2 and a white to put a 1/1 white soldier onto the board. Oblivion Ring to exile another non-land permanent, then it comes back when this leaves play. Rise of the Hobgoblins generates us tokens, so when we have this come into play, we can dump, however much colorless mana we want into the additional, after paying the 2 hybrid red-white, we can dump however much mana we want into it additionally, and then we get that many 1/1 red and white goblins onto the board, and then we can pay a hybrid red-white to give red creatures and white creatures we control first strike until end of turn. Sigil of New Dawn is a pretty nice little recursion enchantment, so whenever one of our dudes dies, we can pay 1 and a white and bring it back to our hand instead of it going to the graveyard. And Spirit Bonds, whenever a non-token creature comes into play under our control, we can pay a white. If we do, we get a 1/1 white flying spirit, and then we can pay 1 and a white and sack a spirit to give target non-spirit creature indestructible till end of turn, so it's very nice. Next we have our artifacts. Ashnod's Altar, because we generate lots of tokens, so we can use those tokens to generate mana if we need it. Hammer of Perforos gives our team haste, and we have the little added bonus of being able to pay 2 and a red and tap it and sacrifice a land to get a 3/3 colorless golem creature. That's basically, probably not going to be used very often, but we play this over Fervor just because it has that added bonus. If an opponent tries to blow up one of our lands, we can use this to respond to get a guy out of it at least. Here's Hedron Archive. It's a 4-cost mana rock that lets us tap it for 2, and then we can pay 2 and tap it and sacrifice it to draw 2 cards. So if we no longer need the acceleration, we can draw some cards off of it. Mind's Eye. Whenever an opponent draws a card, we can pay 1. If we do, we draw a card, so just a means for us to draw some more cards. Soul Ring. Everybody knows and loves Soul Ring. And Sword of the Animist. 2-cost equipment. 2 to equip. The equipped creature gets +1/+1. And whenever the equipped creature attacks, you search your library for a basic, put it onto the board tapped, and then shuffle your deck. So another kind of acceleration card for us to get some extra mana on the board. Next up, we will take a look at the sorceries that we run. We run an Austere Command because all the modes on it are really good. Basically lets us pick and choose what things we need to destroy when we need to destroy them. So it's a really nice wrath for either artifacts or enchantments or creatures with a certain converted mana cost. Bright Flame, because Bright Flame is just a fun card. 2 red and 2 white and X with Radiance, and it deals X damage to target creature, and each other creature that shares a color with it, you gain life equal to the damage dealt this way. Whenever I see this card played, the person that's casting it is going to gain boatloads of life and probably hit just about every creature on the board and wipe it off the board. So Bright Flame's a fun card. Day of Judgment, destroy all creatures. Martial Coup, 2 white and X. We put X 1/1 white soldiers onto the board. If X is 5 or more, destroy all other creatures. So it's a wrath spell if we dump 5 or more into the X cost as well. Nomad's Assembly, 6-cost white sorcery. We put a 1/1 white core soldier creature token on the board for each creature we control, and it has rebound, so we can basically get 2 uses out of it. And Waves of Aggression lets us basically get another main phase and combat phase, and we can retrace it, so we can play it from our graveyard by discarding a land in addition to paying its other costs. Next are the instants that we run. Path to Exile, Return to Dust. Secure the Wastes and Swords to Plowshares. More or less just spot removal for us, except Secure the Wastes, that just generates us X 1/1 white warrior creature tokens onto the board at instant speed, so that's really nice. But the other 3 cards are just spot removal for us. Next are the Planeswalkers. We run Elspeth Tyrell to be able to gain life for each gain 1 life for each creature we control, and then we can -2 to get 3 1/1 white soldiers onto the board, and then we can also -5 destroy all of the permanents except for lands and tokens. She's mainly there just to gain us life and generate us tokens. And then we have Gideon, ally of Zendikar, because he can animate into basically an unkillable 5/5 with his +1, and then we can 0 him to get a 2/2 white knight ally creature token onto the board. And then his ultimate -4 is we get a Glorious Anthem emblem. So all pretty solid modes for what this deck wants to do. He turns into a guy that smacks face, he generates us guys, and he can make our guys bigger. So he fits into the deck very well. And lastly are the creatures that we run. 31 of them, so it is a pretty creature-heavy deck, but we want to be pretty super aggressive with this deck, so rightfully so. First up we have Agris Kos, Wojek Veteran. When he attacks, our attacking red creatures get +2/+0, and our attacking white creatures get +0/+2. Excuse me. Angel of Serenity will let us exile up to 3 other target creatures from the board or creatures in graveyards, and then when this leaves play, the exiled cards get returned to their owner's hands. Archetype of Aggression to give our team trample and strip trample away from our opponent's creatures, and they cannot gain trample. Same with Archetype of Courage, except for trample, it's first strike. Aurelia the War Leader, because she lets us get additional combat phases when she attacks for the first time each turn, and she's a 3/4 flyer with Vigilance and Haste, so she's very good. Brymaz, because he generates guys when he attacks and when he blocks, and he's a 3/4 with Vigilance, and the tokens that he generates also have Vigilance. So when he attacks, you get a 1/1 white cat onto the board with Vigilance onto the battlefield attacking. When he blocks, you get a 1/1 white cat soldier creature with Vigilance onto the board blocking the creature that he's blocking. Burnished Heart to ramp our mana a little bit. Captain of the Watch has Vigilance. It pumps other soldiers we control +1/+1 and gives them Vigilance. And when it enters the board, we put 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the board. Custody Soulbinders, when it enters the board, it comes in with X +1/+1 counters, where X is the number of other creatures on the board. And then we can pay 2 and a white and remove a +1/+1 counter from it to get a 1/1 white Flying Spirit token. Darian, he's really nice. I have a deck built around him. A lot of you probably have seen the deck tech for it if you watched our Clash of Kings project that we had, but he's really nice. So whenever you're dealt damage, you put that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens into play. He is very, very nice with Angelic Chorus. So if you're dealt 5 damage, he's going to generate you 5 1/1 soldiers, and then this is going to gain you 1 life for each one of those soldiers. So as long as you don't take lethal damage in a single turn, he basically makes it so that all the damage that you're dealt just gets erased, and you generate that many 1/1 white soldiers. Maria Angel, because she generates us 1/1 white flying birds when we landfall. Amaria Shepherd is really nice. When you landfall, you can take back a non-land permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. If the land that you landfalled with is a plains, that non-land permanent goes right onto the battlefield. So that's very nice. Firemane Avenger, 4-cost 3/3 flyer with Battalion. So when it and at least 2 other creatures attack, this lightning helixes, basically. So, we want to be super aggressive with this deck. Pretty easy to meet that Battalion stipulation on this card. So more or less, if you're attacking with this, you're probably going to be lightning helixing either a creature or a player. Next up, we have Fury Stoke Giant, a 5-cost 3/3. When he comes into play, other creatures you control gain tap it. It deals 2 damage to target creature or player until end of turn. And he also has Persist, so when he dies, he comes right back to the board with a -1/-1 counter on him if he didn't already have a -1/-1 counter on him. This guy in this deck can end a game for you. So if you have a whole boatload of tokens on the board and you play this guy, you just turned all of your little 1/1 tokens into shocks if you tap them. So, you could definitely end a game with this guy. Next we have Geist Honored Monk, 5-cost creature with vigilance. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures you control, and when it enters the battlefield, put 2 1/1 white flying spirits onto the board. Herald of Anafenza will generate us 1/1 white warrior creature tokens when we activate its Outlast ability. So when we activate that, we put a +1/+1 counter on the Herald, and then we get that 1/1 white warrior. Hero of Bladehold, 4-cost 3/4 with Battle Cry, so when it attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Also, when it attacks, you put 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the board, tapped and attacking. So not only does it pump our team when this attacks, all of our other attacking dudes get +1/+0. It brings 2 1/1 dudes with it when it attacks, which are essentially going to be 2/1 dudes. So she's pretty nice. Then we have Inferno Titan, 6-cost 6/6 with fire breathing, and when it enters the board or attacks, it deals 3 damage, divided however we want among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures and or players. Karmic Guide is basically a resurrection spell on a 2/2 flying body with protection from black. We usually probably won't pay the echo cost on this. We more or less just have it in the deck for some resurrection on a body. Knight Captain of Eos is a 5-cost 2/2. When it comes in, he brings 2 1/1 white soldiers with him, and we can pay a white and sacrifice a soldier to fog, basically. So if you have this guy and a whole boatload of soldier tokens, you can basically fog as long as you as long as you want, because you're probably always going to have a white mana available, especially if you have mobilization. You can pay 3, generate that soldier, then pay the white and sacrifice that soldier to fog. So Knight Captain with mobilization is a very nice little combo there, I guess you could say. Mentor of the Meek, because whenever a guy with power 2 or less enters the board under our control, we can pay 1. If we do, we draw a card. A lot of our creatures are 2 or less power. Basically, all of our creature tokens are going to be 2 or less power, so this guy's just pure card advantage for us. Scroll down a bit here. We have Noblesse of War. It's a 5-cost 3/4 flyer. Attacking creatures you control get +2/+0, so just a means to get some more damage in there, because we want to be turning guys sideways and smacking face with this deck. Audric Master Tactician is a 4-cost 3/4 with First Strike, so that's pretty good on its own. But when he and at least 3 other creatures attack, you choose which creatures block this combat and how those creatures block. So if you attack with him and 3 other dudes, you could just say, okay, well, you're not going to block anything, and you're just going to take all the damage. Or you could say, okay, well, you're one guy that's just sitting there on the board, doing something static for you. I want to get him off the board, so we're going to force him to block this guy, so he'll die. You can basically control the combat phase with this guy when it's your combat phase. So he's really nice. Ogre Battle Driver, 4-cost 3/3. Whenever another creature enters the board under our control, that creature gets +2/+0 and gains haste. So that's really nice. So, whenever we generate 1/1 tokens, they turn into 3/1 tokens with haste. So that's no joke. Precinct Captain is a 2-cost 2/2 with First Strike. When he hits a player, we get a 1/1 white soldier onto the board. Perforos, God of the Forge, is an all-star in the deck. 4-cost, 6/5 God. He's indestructible. Long-ear devotion, blah, blah, blah. We probably all know how that works by now, but whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Perforos deals 2 damage to each opponent. So that's more or less why we have him in the deck. So every time we have a guy come onto the board, he's going to shock each opponent. So if you're playing multiplayer, he's going to spit out lots of damage to all of your opponents. And you can give your creatures fire breathing by paying 2 and a red. So that's also not a bad thing to have either. We have Siege Gang Commander. When he comes in, he brings 3 1/1 red goblins. And then we can pay 1 and a red and sacrifice a goblin. And Siege Gang Commander will shock target creature or player. Then we have Sun Titan, 6-cost, 6/6 with Vigilance. When he enters the board or attacks, we get to resurrect a permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from our graveyard right onto the battlefield. So we can just check real quick. So we have 11 3-cost things, 7 2-cost things, and 5 1-cost things. So, he can basically resurrect like a quarter of our deck. So he fits in very well. Next is Sunhome Guildmage, 2-cost 2/2. We can pay 1 a red and a white to give creatures we control +1/+0 until end of turn. Or we can pay 2 a red and a white to get a 1/1 red and white soldier with haste onto the board. Twilight Drover is really nice. Whenever a creature token leaves the battlefield, he gets a +1/+1 counter, and then we can pay 2 and a white and remove a +1/+1 counter from him to get 2 1/1 white flying spirit creature tokens. And lastly, to round out the creatures, is Wingmate Rock, a 5-cost 3/4 flyer with Raid. So when it enters the battlefield, if you attack the creature this turn, you get a 3/4 white bird creature token with flying onto the board. So he basically brings like a copy of himself just without this ability. Also, whenever Wingmate Rock attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking creature. So if you attack with 10 creatures, and this guy's one of them, you're going to gain 10 life. So, token generation and life gain. So it's definitely not bad. All right, so that about wraps up the deck tech, guys. So Stormblood, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this is kind of on the lines of what you were looking for in the deck. And everybody else watching, I hope you enjoyed it as well. Just a couple of the things to talk about here. The color balance, we are very heavy on white. So like this little outer ring right here shows us how much white mana symbols that we have compared to red. So we have 80 white mana symbols and 33 red mana symbols. So we are very white heavy, but white definitely has like the token generation that we're looking for. So I guess rightfully so that we're pretty heavy on white because we want to be generating a lot of tokens. And then the red is there kind of for like the the nice little utility creatures like Fury Stoke Giant and Ogre Battle Driver and Perforos. Like the red is there definitely to help out the deck when you're getting the creatures onto the board. As far as the types of cards, every EDH deck, a third of your deck's going to be lands. This deck's very creature heavy, excuse me, at 31. But, rightfully so. We want to be turning guys sideways and smacking face, so we want a lot of creatures in this deck. Then we run the 2 Planeswalkers, 6 artifacts, 12 enchantments, 6 sorceries, and 4 instants. As far as our mana curve, it's definitely not bad. We got a couple things to play on turn 1, a little more on turn 2, then a little more on turn 3. So we curve pretty well up to turn 5, and then we curve downward nicely from there. So once we hit about turn 5 and 6, we can, reliably drop, more than 1 spell a turn. According to Tapped Out, the price for this deck as it stands right now on TCG Player Mid is $200.49. So if any of you really like this deck and want to build it as is, you can get it for that price on TCG Player. The average converted mana cost is 3.92, and we can generate lots of different types of tokens. Not going to go over all of them, but the deck is all about generating tokens, which is the theme that Stormblood was looking for in this deck. But that about wraps it up, guys, so hope you all enjoyed it. Leave me some comments in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the deck. Excuse me. If there are any suggestions of cards that you would put into this deck, maybe I missed the ball on some really good, Boros colored or white and or red cards that would go really well into this deck. Leave me some comments below. Let me know. If you liked the video, thumbs it up so that we know that you did enjoy it, so we know to keep making videos like this in the future. Also, leave me some comments on potential deck requests that you would like to see us do. Derek and I are working on quite a few deck requests at the moment, but we're always open to, more deck requests. We really do enjoy, kind of brainstorming up decks and seeing how you guys like them. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, Tap and Turn Gaming, please hit that subscribe button. We really do appreciate it. So, this has been Jay with Tap and Turn Gaming. Again, hope everybody enjoyed the deck tech. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and we'll catch you later. Thanks a lot for watching.